Now we're going to go through the second checkpoint of your linear section. So the first 8 questions all dealt with finding the slopes of various scenarios. So I'm evaluating whether or not you can find the slope between 2 points from slope-intercept form, standard form, special linear scenarios, as well as a table and a graph. So for number 1, to find the slope between 2 points, again, you're going to use your y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so again, whatever y you start with, so I'm going to start with the 12. I have to start with that point x on the bottom. So here I get 12 minus a negative 6, which is like 12 plus 6, so 18. And then plus 6 on the bottom. So 18 divided by 6 is 3. So your answer for number 1 is 3. Number 2, there's no math. It's already given to us. Your answer for number 2 is 4. The slope is 4. Number 3, you are in standard form. So what you should do on 3 is make it look like number 2. So I'm going to get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract the 2x over. So all I did here was subtract 2x on both sides. And then I'm going to divide by 4. And I get negative a half plus 3. So the part I'm interested in is the negative a half. So your slope on number 3 is negative 1/2. Number 4, this one is one of our special scenarios. When you do your y2 minus y1, you end up with 0 in the top. And 0 divided by anything is 0. So number 4 is 0. This one is a horizontal line. So the slope of any horizontal line is always going to be 0 because they always have the same y coordinate. Now 5 is a vertical line. This one has a line where all the x values are at 4. So if I just kind of sketch the graph up here, there's what your graph would look like for 5. So if I just picked 2 points, I'm going to say 4, 1 and 4, 2. We have those 2 points on this line, 4, 1, 4, 2. If I do my slope process here, now what you should notice is the bottom is 0. And if you tried to type that into your calculator is going to tell you error. Because one thing in math that we can't do is divide by 0. So the slope of any vertical line is always undefined. So that's the difference between the two, where the 0 lies. If the 0 is on the top, that's okay. You can type that into your calculator and it'll tell you this. If it's on the bottom and you type that in, your calculator is going to tell you error. So that means there is no slope. It's undefined. Number 6, we've got this graph. So I'm looking for 2 nice and neat points. So here I notice the y-intercept is at negative 2. And then I notice I've got a nice point right here at 2, 4. So I could do it like number 1, or I could just use the graph. So to go from negative 2 to 4, this is increasing 6. And then to go from 0 to 2 is it's going over 2. So your slope is the rise over the run. So 6 divided by 2, and you get a slope of 3. And then number 7, looking at this data set, it is subtracting 8 over and over and over again. So this one has a slope of negative 8. Number 8, you've got a horizontal line right here. So the slope of any horizontal line is going to be 0. But again, you could choose 2 points. There's at 0, 3, and here's one at 2, 3. if you go to do this, you're going to have 3 minus 3 over 2 minus 0, yep, which gives you 0 over 2. But if you catch it's a horizontal line, you really don't have to do any math. The slope is 0. So there's the front side of your checkpoint, finding the slope. The other parts here was finding equations of the lines and scenarios here. So number 9, I would want to find the slope first. So negative 2 minus 7 over 5 minus 2. And I get the slope to be negative 3. Now I'm going to use this slope, and I'm going to pick this point at 2, 7. They're both positive, and I'm going to plug those in to my y equals mx plus b so I can solve it for b. So the m is negative 3, and now this point is going to go in for the x and the y. So the y coordinate is 7, so it's going to go in for 7, or for the y, excuse me. The x coordinate is 2. So there's how I would set that up. And now I can add the 6 over. And there is my y-intercept. So your equation on number 9 is negative 3x plus 13. Number 10, I'm in standard form. So to get this to slope-intercept form, I want to get y by itself. So first thing we should do is subtract the 6x over to the other side. And now I'm going to divide it all by this negative 2. Now we have our equation in slope-intercept form. 11 and 12 are special lines. So when I do this one, I have 12 minus 8, but on the bottom I get 2 minus 2. So you get 4 over 0, which tells you your slope is undefined. Now we aren't finished yet. That just is what the slope is. This tells me my line is a vertical line. So we still can make the equation here. If I look at my 2 points, they have the exact same x coordinate. So we write the equation of any vertical line as x equals whatever that x coordinate is. So in this case, it's 2. 12 was an example of a horizontal line. So again, 9 minus 9 over 10 minus 4 gives me 0 over 6, which is 0. Now that's just the slope, so we're not finished. Since the slope is 0, this tells me I have a horizontal line. As I look at these points, they have the same y coordinate. So we write the equation of any horizontal line as y equals whatever that y coordinate is. And then 13, we're making the equation. Now we already know what the slope is from the other side. Our slope here was a minus 8. So now I've got to find the b value. So again, I can use my point. I'm going to use this one here, and I'm going to take the y coordinate, the slope, and the x coordinate, and I'm going to solve this thing for b. So negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. If I add that over, I get 84. So my equation is negative 8x plus 84. There's the equation for number 13. 14. What's nice here is I already have the y-intercept on the graph right there. Now I need to find another point, which right here looks to be a good one. So this one is going down 2 and to the right 1. So my slope is negative 2. So my equation is negative 2x from my slope, and then my y-intercept is at 3, so plus 3. And the last one I gave you was a story problem here. We have a swimming pool that has 1,000 gallons in the pool, and we're going to put more water in at a rate of 5 gallons per minute, and I want you to make an equation where the x-coordinate represents the time in minutes and the y value represents the number of gallons in the pool. So if you can't figure this out quickly, just make a little table. So if you make a table, when x is 0, we have 1,000 gallons. in the pool when there's no time, right? In 1 minute, we're going to add 5 more gallons. So we're going to have 1,005. 2 minutes, we're going to have 5 more gallons, so 1,010. 3 minutes, 5 more, so on and so forth. So what's nice here is you've already got the y-intercept, and the slope here is 5. So in this problem, you actually were given the information at hand. The y-intercept was the 1,000 gallons that's already in it, and the slope was the 5 gallons that you're already putting in it. So y equals 5x plus 1,000 would be your equation for this scenario.